Man, once in a while, we have topics that pop up on the YouTube channel that I, admittedly, get kind of confused by when I look at them. This is one of those topics because today we're going over the Vancouver Canucks and we're talking about a defenseman on the New Jersey Devils. No, we're not talking about Luke Hughes. Sorry to y'all Vancouver folk that want him to come over. But instead we're talking about Damon Severson. And the reason this topic kind of confused me is because when I went into my calendar app to pre-schedule the topic for today, June 7th, Wednesday, 3 p.m., I kind of have to do this, right? Like, I organize everything in my calendar. It's how you run a business. You got to keep track of things. When I typed out Severson Canucks, I was kind of shocked to see that we had already done this video before. In fact, we've made 2 videos in the past talking about the Vancouver Canucks and this particular defenseman. This has been a topic that has persisted throughout the past few years. The last time we had talked about this player in Vancouver was on July 27th, 2022, Wednesday. It was talking about the trade idea of JT Miller for this guy. Back in February of 2022, so February 1st, we also made a video going over Ty Smith and Severson and how both of these guys could be Canucks targets. Well, it's 1 year removed from those dates, and we're still talking about this dude, linking him to Vancouver. Although this time, I kind of had to go out there and redo the thumbnail. I can't use the same image for the guy 3 times in a row, even though there was a 1 year gap in between there. But the reason we're going over this player is because of what Elliotte Friedman said on Donnie and Dolly. Before we go over to the comment itself, let's talk about the profile here, just so we all know whom we're talking about. Damon Severson is a 28-year-old defenseman. He is now 28. Last time we had talked about him, he was 27. Oh yeah, funny how age works. But Severson is a 6'2", 205 right-handed defenseman who isn't signed. He is currently a UFA, and he's coming off a deal where he was making $4.16 million AAV every year since 2017-2018. Now, that was, can I do the math off the top of my head? 5 years ago when he was 23 years old. And for the most part, Severson was a pretty solid defenseman that you could debate was better than the contract on paper. 4.1 is a decent amount of money, but for a guy who's a right-handed defenseman who is providing 30 to 40 points every single year, that's a pretty good value deal in my opinion. Severson is a strong hockey player who got 26 assists and 7 goals, 33 points last year in 81 games played. The season before that, though, 2021-2022, he had his career year of 46 points in 80 games. This is a guy who has slowly gotten better as the years have gone on, and now, as a UFA, he'll be going out there and potentially getting a boatload more money. This is a guy that if the Devils are able to keep, they're really bolstering their blue line with it. But if he goes to the free agency market, he's a right-handed defenseman, he produces points, he's mobile, he's quick, he's whatever, he's gonna get money. And this is where we get ourselves the conversation with Vancouver. Because Elliotte Friedman, on the recent episode of Donnie and Dolly, went out there and said this: if the Canucks could clear out cap space, they can call New Jersey for Severson's rights. Severson, he would absolutely be interested in a place like Vancouver. And so what Friedman is saying is that the Vancouver Canucks could free up some cap space between now and July 1st and make a trade with the Devils for the rights to talk to Damon Severson. Not Severson himself, the guy doesn't have a contract, but the Vancouver Canucks could make a trade to get the negotiating rights with this player, maybe sign him to a deal before July 1st so that he doesn't go to the free agent market and he negotiates strictly with Vancouver. This is an interesting idea that I saw a lot of Canucks fans go out there and lambast right away. Why do the Canucks want to go out there and get a 28-year-old right-handed defenseman that's gonna cost $6-7 million? Okay, maybe 7's pushing it a little bit, but 6.5. The guy's been averaging 35 to 40 points per season for the past few years. He's a very good player, and this is a guy at 28 years old who is gonna get a pay raise. Why do the Canucks need to get this type of a guy? And it all boils down to philosophy. If you feel that the Vancouver Canucks are in that state where they still need to be going out there and trying to get younger, you need to go out there and improve your team through the draft, through the prospects and everything, then acquiring a guy like Severson is not a good idea. He's old. He's 28. He's going to get a long-term deal that will handcuff the Vancouver Canucks, financially speaking, because when Lekaramaki and Elias Pettersson, the other one I mean, and some of the other prospects the Canucks have eventually get off their ELCs, you're not going to have enough money because Damon Severson is going to be there on your payroll. The philosophy makes sense, but at the same time, based off of everything we're hearing about how the Vancouver Canucks management views this team, it wouldn't surprise me if the team themselves, the GM, Patrick Allvin, the owner, the president, the assistant GMs, it wouldn't surprise me if they feel that this team is a lot more competitive and a lot better than the general consensus amongst us fans would have you believe about the quality of this team. If the Vancouver Canucks thoroughly believe, which a lot of us think that they do, that this team is close to being a contender, then getting a piece like Damon Severson would absolutely help their chances at making that dance. They got Hronek earlier last season. They added on Ilya Mikheyev last year too. Now with a guy like Severson, they would really be putting their team in that position where you got mid to late 20s guys who are in the primes of their careers, helping out and hopefully pushing this team into the playoffs. I'm not saying I agree with that philosophy necessarily, I'm just saying that it's there, and it honestly doesn't seem illogical when you think about it. Of course, you could talk about, whoa, but the team is not that good. Oh, they're not actually great. What are you talking about? But you could understand where they're coming from. And so if the Vancouver Canucks really felt confident that they needed a guy like Damon Severson, all it would take is maybe a third or a fourth round pick that you would be giving up for free, which, that's not ideal, but it is there, to get the rights to sign Severson and sign him to a deal that's a little bit cheaper than something he would have been able to get in the free agent market. Because if he goes to free agency and you want to get him there, all of a sudden you're betting with other teams, you're going up against other teams saying, hey, this team is offering my client X amount of dollars. Vancouver, you got to raise your dollar amount if you want to get this guy. So to avoid that hassle, to avoid the stress, the Vancouver Canucks could sacrifice some of that for a third round pick or a fourth round pick or something. I'm not going to say that's the ideal move because you don't want to be giving away picks for free, but at the same time, if they're very confident in doing this, I could understand where it's coming from. Especially if Friedman's going out there and saying that Vancouver would be a place that Severson would like. He would absolutely be interested in Vancouver. They would give him a spot. Severson's better than Myers. He's probably in the same skill level, maybe a bit worse than Filip Hronek at their peaks. But, of course, with Quinn Hughes also there, you need to diversify where you're going to put your offensive talent, etc., etc. It's a pretty different type of conversation to be having. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about the Vancouver Canucks going after a guy like Damon Severson? What are your thoughts on the idea of the Vancouver Canucks making a trade for the rights of this guy? Not waiting till he goes to free agency and picking him up there, but actually shelling out assets to be the first ones in line to give him money. What are your thoughts on any potential contract extension? What are your thoughts on how much that's going to cost? What are your thoughts on how that could affect the Vancouver Canucks and if it's really worth it to be given another $6-point-something million to a guy who's 28 years old right now and who is probably going to decline soon? I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, but it's probable. Players always decline after 28, 29, 30, something like that. But if this aligns with your idea of what the Canucks should do, let me know in the comments all your opinions about that. If this does not, then let me know in the comments how much this idea pisses you off. But at the end of the day, Damon Severson, yay or nay, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a New Jersey Devils fan, please feel free to provide any insight. What are your thoughts on this player? What are your thoughts on his future? What are your thoughts on how much he should be able to get? And if he's on Vancouver, what are your opinions on how much everything could be worth it for him, for the team, and on paper for the dollar amount? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99, and bye.